but we're going to focus on CONCACAF here. We've got semifinals to discuss. Yes, we're going to be previewing USA versus Costa Rica, but there's two semifinals that are taking place here. Group A, it's going to be US and Costa Rica, and then Group B, it's going to be Canada and Jamaica. It's an exciting time. Canada and Jamaica is going to be kicking off at 10 p.m. Eastern on Paramount Plus, and United States and Costa Rica will be kicking off at 7 p.m. Eastern on Paramount Plus. Lisa, it's here, the Final Four, so to speak.
The Final Four, yeah. I mean, 6 teams coming into this, the qualifiers, there's so much on the line. And heading into the last match day, right, like Canada knew, the United States knew that they had clinched, and then it came down to Jamaica, Haiti, and now Jamaica getting through in our group, in Group A, and Costa Rica getting through to the semifinal stage in Group B. There's a lot of emotions, right? There's so much precipice up until there's so much leading up to this precipice of the tournament where now these teams understand what has gone into this. We've got to see a lot of good, different competition. I think everyone is still talking about Haiti despite losing to Jamaica in the final round of group stages. I mean, that battle was insane between those two sides, and Jamaica coming out the stronger side. That's huge to see. Now Jamaica has qualified for their second World Cup in a row. Like, just fantastic things happening on that side of the ball and that side of the thing. And I'm so happy about CONCACAF and like how this federation has grown. And there's still a chance that another team could get through. They'll go to the Intercontinental Tournament. It continues. All of the CONCACAF continues, but now it's the semifinals. More is on the line. It's win or go home. All of these teams want to win this championship, and it all starts tomorrow on Thursday.
Yeah, I'm absolutely hyped about it. Let's maybe talk a little bit, just show a little bit of quick love to Canada and Jamaica as well before we maybe kind of segue into full, Costa Rica, full United States, because we want to give we want to take a little bit of time to actually talk about Costa Rica and talk about the United States as well. But Canada and Jamaica, I think, going into this tournament, Lisa, there was a lot of talk about sort of the big teams to kind of keep an eye on in this match. And obviously there were, for a lot of folks, it was the United States. It was their tournament to lose. That's kind of the energy around that team. They have like 8 CONCACAF titles under their belt, and they're back-to-back winners of this tournament alone. So they were coming in here as reigning 2019 champions, and there's a lot of focus on them. But Canada also entering this tournament as Olympic gold medalists, have typically gone toe-to-toe with the United States as well. And then we've got Jamaica and Costa Rica. Costa Rica, advancing into this semifinal, have been a team that have qualified for the World Cup for a number of cycles now. And we've got the Jamaican women's national team showing that it's not, there's no sophomore slump here. They absolutely came to this qualifiers and punched their ticket to, their second World Cup. What are some other fun stuff we can hear about these teams?
Yes, Sandra, I love fun facts. So we get to talk about CONCACAF and everything that's kind of happened. Mine is a bit about the tournament in a whole, some of my facts I have. There have been 12 games so far throughout the group stages, now as we head into the semifinal, and there has been 0 hat tricks. Not a single player has scored 3 goals in one match, and this could be the first time that has happened since 2006. So that's like pretty impressive, and I think that says a lot about the competition in CONCACAF and how it's developed and how defending has come down so much more into this. And it's a lot harder for players to score goals than maybe it was in the past. And that even goes to show that the average goals per game throughout this tournament is 2.83. And that's the lowest it has been since 2006. But again, it speaks to the growth of the game, because the biggest margin of victory so far in this tournament has been 6-0 compared to previous tournament. In 2018, the biggest gap was 12-0. Canada beat Cuba in that match. And now it's only 6-0, right? So I think that that's incredibly impressive defensively when you look at these CONCACAF sides, and that it is so much harder to score goals in CONCACAF now. And it's not everyone that's saying, yes, this is the United States tournament to win, and why aren't they winning 10-0? Because it's hard. It's incredibly hard to score goals. And this is the first time both of those things have happened since 2006. 6. Holy cow.
No, I feel you on that 100%. And it's an important point that you bring up because honestly, why is it happening? It's because of the opposition that they're facing. Don't come here, don't come to attacking third and be disrespectful to the team, the 8 nations in this competition. There's energy still around this competition when folks are talking about or looking at the United States and they're saying, "Oh my God, they should be like obliterating these teams." And it's like, no, this is not CONCACAF, 1990s. This is not CONCACAF,
No.
early Y2K vibes. Like, no, this is 2022. CONCACAF is starting to turn a little bit, and there have been some challenges that have been presented to what's considered maybe the big two heavyweights, right? United States and Canada. And I think we started to see that in those final group stage a little bit. I mean, it took the United States until the 89th minute to find their breakthrough against a desperate Mexico team. And we're looking at Canada going against Panama. It took them an hour to sort of unlock what was being presented to them. So tough teams here in the CONCACAF region for sure.
Incredibly tough. And yeah, you mentioned like the Y2K, the 90s, those goal differentials were like 21-0 in single games. In 1991, it was 12-0, multiple games across the board. But there has been goal scorers, and I want to give Bunny Shaw, the Jamaican player, a little shout out because she has passed Jody Brown for the all-time CONCACAF Women's Championship scorer for Jamaica. So she has 6 goals. Bunny Shaw, it was huge to see that. Also a little bit of goal scoring quickness. If we remember, Sophia Smith scored in the opening 5 minutes versus Jamaica, and that was the earliest goal of the tournament. But Jessie Fleming for Canada scored against Costa Rica in the 5th minute as well, and it was earlier than Sophia Smith. So Fleming beat out Sophia Smith by seconds, scoring the earliest goal of this tournament, and also Canada scoring the latest goal of this tournament against Trinidad and Tobago. It was the 91st minute, and then coming down to that, we saw the United States score in the 98 or in the 89th minute. So it was like the U.S. is right on the bubble of scoring first and also scoring last in these tournaments. But I want to talk about the VAR of it all and how that has come into play in this tournament, because it's the first time that CONCACAF is seeing VAR, and there have been 5 penalty kick goals so far, a number of attempts, but 5 goals. And that's the most PK goals in one tournament since 1994. Sandra, do you think that's due to VAR?
I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to just put it all on this sort of, new taste of in-game technology. I think it has a little bit to do with it for sure. I'm not going to sit here and be like, no. It's because of form or skill or lack of thereof. I think it's maybe a little bit of a mix of both in something. But I do think VAR has absolutely, played its part. We'll just say it's played its part here in the tournament. I'm not going to say good, bad, or weird. It's the first time in CONCACAF Championship that it was integrated, and it's made its debut, and people have feelings about it, but it's been utilized with reason in this tournament.
Completely. And when you look at the officials, yes, there's VAR and they can check that, but the initial call is always made by the center official, and they sometimes have different vantage points, and different referees will call things a little bit differently just based on how they see it and the intentions. I know my dad was asking me about the foul against in an NWSL game, and asking about how is that a foul? How is that a PK when I didn't see it? And I was like, well, it all comes down to the officials on the field, and that plays over into this Concacaf W Championship. However an official calls it on the field, then VAR has to go and overturn it, which is a lot harder to do, or just continue to make another call. So I've actually liked VAR being involved in this. I know they've talked a lot about on the broadcast not having that line, and Christina Uncle is a proponent of not having that offside line being in there. Yeah, I agree, because like the difference between like a shoelace being off and on is frustrating when that happens. But overall, like I've liked the inclusion of VAR in this tournament because of player safety. Frankly, like that's something that I am always aware of and keen about, that I want these players to be safe. And if there's a reckless foul, I want there to be yellow or red potentially, because if a player could be injured due to that. So yeah, lots of penalty kicks throughout this one, lots of penalty kicks scored throughout this tournament, and perhaps more to come as these games elevate in intensity throughout the semifinal and final.
Yeah, for sure. I think if the question is posed a little bit more kind of, vague or more broad, like if would we rather have, VAR at all in this tournament or not? I think for me, like the answer is a very quick, like, yes, like I'd rather have this tournament with VAR than without. So it's been interesting to see its debut, and we'll see. Like this is where it's gonna get. I think where it's gonna get most dramatic, right? In these knockout rounds, the level of intensity is gonna just feel a bit different, I think, versus its utilization during the group stage. So we'll see how it looks like, what it looks like, if it makes its appearance or if it's necessary during this semi-final round.